Hope you're doing well. It is Thursday, and I'm going to dispense some knowledge today for you. And I'm going to share my screen and show you a study that we did internally. So I'm going to give you the situation. The situation is my company, Get Leverage. We sell to the SMB and the lower mid market. So companies under 500 employees, either B2B organizations or B2C. When I started the organization, I really wanted to focus in on the problem that I had as the founder, which was that we're always resource starved. We don't have the time, the money, or energy to hire perhaps North Americans to do certain projects, tasks, and initiatives, nor is it good economic sense. So, using offshore sales and marketing talent, you could have all these unlocks, all this optionality for a fraction of the cost. And it improves gross margins, it improves cost customer acquisition, and obviously profitability. So we incorporated the business in May of 2023, and almost every lead, every opportunity in 2023 was talking to a founder. And then as we got bigger and leads came from different sources, from channel partners, from referrals, from customer referrals, from going outbound, but then going outbound, the founder might bring in their VP of sales or director of sales to look at our solution. We started to diversify from just talking to the founder and CEO to talking to, in an SMB lower mid-market business, that could be the chief revenue officer or SVP of sales, and or the CMO and VP of marketing. But I started to notice at the beginning, now let's kind of go to the challenge. The challenge is that I started to notice that the sales cycle velocity, the timeline it took to close a deal, went from 14 days to 24 days. Now, for a lot of organizations, you're sitting there going, oh my God, we have 10-month sales cycles. When you sell to the SMB and lower mid-market, it's a higher volume game, and those 10 days matter. So I started noticing that the timeline was increasing, and then the conversion, historically at 45%, started to creep into the 30s. So I wanted to see why. And my gut, selling my whole life, wanted to look at a singular cohort analysis. And that cohort analysis would be every deal where there was a founder attached as a lead or into the opportunity. So they were either the primary person that reached out to us or we reached out to them, and or they were brought into the sales conversation on call 1 or 2 along the journey. They were there physically. This wasn't just like they were CC'd in on an email, but they were physically on a demo and discovery call along that journey at some point. They've seen the solution, they've met us, they know who we are, versus they're not involved at all. And it's left up to the chief revenue officer, chief marketing officer, VP level, director level. So I'm going to share the data. Let me share my screen and walk you through it. I wrote an article about this on LinkedIn a few days ago. You should be able to see my screen. So of all the sales qualified leads, and there are hundreds of them in this cohort analysis being analyzed, 55% have the founder engaged, 45%. So it's a good mixture in the sense that the data will present like real sound advice. When the founder is engaged, the founder, the CEO, the business owner is engaged, the win rate, and this is including all of the sales qualified leads that came in the month of March. Now, we have a 24-day sales cycle going on right now. So if you were to back those out, it'd be closer to almost 40%. So back to the historical average, win rates haven't really changed. What has changed, though, is that the diversification of the leads that come in, the directors, the VPs of marketing or sales come in, that shrinks. And again, if you were to back out, some of the win losses just in March, I bet you this could even be closer to somewhere between 20 and 25%. So let's analyze then the why, and then we'll talk about like the remedy to that solution. The why is pretty simple. I've owned 3 agencies in my life. Get Leverage is the largest now by employment at 50 employees. Not the largest by revenue. That was Sales for Life, but we will surpass that at Get Leverage in 12 months, 24 months. And I can tell you, as a guy who's owned 3 multi-million-dollar businesses, that under 50 or 100 employees, the founder makes almost all people, process, technology decisions. All the money flows through the founders. All the personnel hiring goes through the founders. All the technology. I mean, if you even look at a shareholders agreement, in the shareholders agreement, you'll have it where a singular partner can make a decision of $1,000 or up to $10,000. Then you'll have a multi decision-making process where it requires not consensus, but it has like a majority vote, and that might be from range 2 to 3, and then a consensus vote when it hits a certain threshold. The founders basically, for any decision around human capital, where that decision is tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars annually, all those decisions flow through the founder. What you also have in SMB lower mid-market businesses is people are given a title of chief revenue officer, chief marketing officer, but they're also really a player coach. They're being asked to grow a team, but also sell at the same time because we're resource constrained. You can't actually just have coaches because you're not there yet. You only have a sales team of 3 or 4 or 5, or a marketing team of 1.5 or 2. So that leads to the CMO is taking budget that's given to them, and then they're deploying that capital into all kinds of campaigns. They're ideating on what to do, but they're not actually able to go get capital that doesn't exist in that budget very easily. It doesn't mean they can't. Obviously, you see, 25% win rate, but it becomes more difficult. The founders and the CEO need to be in the decision-making process and the journey and the buy-in from day one. So, I mean, if you're selling to under 500 employee companies, as you get from, say, a couple hundred employees to 500, that changes. Now the CRO and CMO are given a budget and the autonomy to deploy that capital as you move towards that 500 mark. But the learning for you all is you have to find ways to coach the customer. So a lead comes in and there's 53 employees. And it's a director of marketing, director of sales. For you who is watching this, that could be, chief human capital, or CHRO, or CISO, or CTO. You have to coach them and help them understand. You want a new solution for your business. Let me, as a guy who does this for a living, let you know that the founder's involvement, the CEO's involvement, is going to dramatically impact our ability to partner together. You have to coach them to bring the founder or the CEO onto these calls as part of the learning journey together. If you do so, together we will win prospect turning to customer and ourselves the vendor. Great lesson. Bring in the